Hi guys, welcome back to Iconic, the podcast with your host, Lynda Stretton. I'm a transformational healer, new paradigm spiritual business coach to high achieving women, and a marketing consultant to forward thinking brands. And I am so excited to be joined by the beautiful Hayley Forbes today. Hayley is insane. I could have spoken to her for well over 3 hours, I reckon. It was just, I had to wrap it up at the end because oh my God, it's an hour already. It's such an incredible conversation. She's such an inspiring human. Hayley stepped away from a career as a makeup artist to create freedom and live for a living so that she could spend more time with her family and kids and all different things. And she has been in business for 12 years. She's been in the coaching industry for the last couple of years. She has built a 7-figure brand really quickly. And she shares all about her story in this episode. She gives you loads of advice for creating your own business. She also has her own coaching certification, and she's just queen of creating, multitasking, doing all different things, but also creating quantum leaps in business and collapsing time. She's a money and business coach. I should have said that right up front. And she's just really passionate about helping women live for a living instead of working for a living. What I love about Hayley's story, beyond all the incredible financial success and everything that she's managed to do, is how she's very open about having support to help her get there. So having the support from her partner, because they homeschool their children. So she's a working mum, and her husband kind of took over and looked after the kids while she was building a business. I think that's really, really important, because I don't think people talk about enough getting support from other people whilst we're chasing our dreams. It's something I really had to work on. I actually worked with my coach on really hard in the first year of my business on learning to receive, asking my partner for support, asking my mum for support, asking for support, and not feeling like I had to do everything alone and burning myself out. And it's actually the third module in the Let's Make Money Honey experience, which kicks off this month and runs for 12 months. The third module is all about receiving, and that's in lots and lots and lots of different ways, but one of those areas is receiving support. So yeah, I love how she's really honest about getting that support and being an example for, asking for help when we need it, setting boundaries, but then also putting in the hard work and actually going after her dreams and creating this incredible product suite and systems and processes. She balances energetics with strategy, and yeah, she's super inspiring. I won't go on. If you love this conversation, which I know you will do, please give it a share to your stories. Give us both a tag. Tell us your greatest takeaway, because we love to know what in particular is resonating and driving action in you, inspiring you and making you want to make changes. And I'm going to leave it there. Just love the conversation. I'm sure you will. And yeah, I'll be back to speak to you really soon. Hi guys, and welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited today. I just posted this on my Instagram going, I'm literally chatting to my girl crush, because she really is my business girl crush. The beautiful Hayley Forbes. I am so grateful for you coming on, Hayley. I know you're super busy, working mum, all the different things. We have got so much to talk about today. But before we dive into all of it, please introduce yourself to everybody, and please tell us a little bit about your story of how you came to doing the work that you do in the world today.
Yeah, firstly, I am so excited to be on here. So thank you for inviting me on. And yeah, I am Hayley Forbes. So online, you'll see me as Hayley Forbes Coaching. And so I've got a business where I coach other coaches and other entrepreneurs. So I'm a business and money coach. And then I've also got another part of my business where I've got my academy. So I train other people in becoming life coaches through my neurogetics method. I am a mum of 4. So I've got 4 amazing children who I home educate as well. So they are with us 24/7. So scaling a business, motherhood, all of that. And I'd say that my sort of success in the coaching space has been fairly quick. So I officially started the business that you see today last February, so February 2021, and it's just scaled really, really quickly. But before that, I've always had my own business. So I was a special effects and makeup artist. I worked in TV and film, and then I've done some directing and producing and things. So I'm really used to running businesses, being self-employed, running teams. And then I also had a mum blog for sort of 5 years, mainly on Instagram. So I learned how to really grow an audience and learned how to monetize that as well. So social media and business it's like ingrained in me. Mm-hmm. And then I got into coaching, and I came through coaching to be a life coach, because I live life on sort of my terms. Like, we're not your average family. Like, we're a little bit out there. We do things a little bit different. As I say, I home educate my kids, and I've always really been passionate about living life on your terms. And that's why I wanted to come into the coaching space. However, when I started coaching, most of my clients were other coaches, because they wanted the lifestyle that I had created for myself, but also the business knowledge. They're like, Hayley, that's amazing, but also teach me how to market, teach me how to build a business, teach me how to use social media. Like, how do you do all that? So very quickly and really organically, it became what you see today, which is the business and money coaching. So my tagline is still the original tagline, which is to live for a living. But then it's also, I've got to get more money into the hands of more women. And it's just sort of scaled and grew from there. In the first year, we sort of hit multi 6 figures, and then went on to continue to scale to like 6-figure months. And then, as I say, it's grown into everything it is today, which is essentially multiple businesses all under the one kind of umbrella. And yeah, that's just a very quick roundup of how I got into this and how this kind of grew to what it is now.
Yeah, I think it's insane how much you're managing. Like, when you talk about all the different arms, I know you're a projector like me as well. So it's like, I can't believe how much you do. And you're so inspiring. I also love that your stories like has similarities in mine, because I used to work in advertising. So I used to like run TV ads and all those different things, and like head of marketing for different things. And yeah, I had similar. I was getting all these invitations. When I decided to step away from that because I wanted freedom, it wasn't because I didn't love my job. I absolutely love my job. I just couldn't handle like the 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. So when I was on maternity leave with my firstborn, I left that job and launched my nutrition business, and people couldn't understand how I was getting it working so quickly. So I was getting other nutritional therapists coming to me going, oh, do you do business coaching? Because I want to do what you've done. So it was the same. It's kind of organic. And then it's like, I remember like sitting, going into the lounge one day after a call, and my husband said to me, like, you come off your business coaching calls so much more upbeat than you come off your nutrition calls. And I was like, well, it's what I've been doing for the last 17 years, like marketing business stuff. And it's like, it's just easy, isn't it? And then he's like, yeah, do you want to think about like pivoting a bit? And it took a really long time to do it. But yeah. So that, I didn't know about the makeup and the special effects background. So that's incredible. And that like explains why you have those incredible photo shoots that you have as well.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it's funny when you said there about you didn't leave because it wasn't that you didn't like your job. I was the same. I loved my career, absolutely loved it. If anybody used to ask me what would your dream job be, I was like, I was living it, I was doing it. I was working with celebs, I was working on film sets. It really wasn't glamorous. It sounds glamorous, it's not. It's cold and long days, and I really loved it, but it didn't tie in with the life I wanted. So similar to you, like it was the hours, like I was seeing my children when they were asleep, so I was leaving before they were awake, coming back when they were already asleep at night, and it just was a part of me that wasn't a part of me going forward. And I think in society sometimes we're taught to have a job for the rest of your life, and I think that's highly unrealistic. Like, we're multi-dimensional humans, and we've got multi like passions, and actually we change and develop as people as well. And I think that one thing that's amazing about businesses booming over online just now is people are starting to see that at any opportunity they can change. Like, you can start a whole new business at any one point. It's not you're in here and you're stuck there for the rest of your life. You get to change, you get to tweak things. And just when you said that there, I was like, yeah, I feel that as well. Like, I absolutely loved my job. It just didn't fit who I was as a human anymore, and how I wanted to live my life going forward as the person I was, and as a mother of 4 kids as well.
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. I had kids really late. I only fell pregnant with the first at 37. So I gave birth just before I was 38. And I was kind of like,
you don't look old enough.
I know, thank you. You know what? I've got my mum to thank for that. I was like, I just didn't want to be an absent mum. That was my thing. I'd always had this story. I wasn't going to have kids because I thought I'd be an absent mum because I was a workaholic. And my dad was a workaholic and he was an absent dad. But he's amazing. Like, I don't want to knock him, but it was just the way it was in those days. You worked really hard to try and provide for the family. And I was like, I had that story, I was going to be that person. So for so many years, I blocked myself from having kids. there's a whole story. Like I feel like I manifested infertility because I had hypothalamic amenorrhea for a really long time, which is when you lose your menstrual cycle, because I was working so much and so much stress. And I actually think I manifested that because I didn't think I'd be a good mum. But yeah, so it was like when I did have kids, it was like, do you know, I've left it so late. I don't want to miss them growing up. So that was a really big why for me. But yeah, anyway, sorry, going off on a tangent again, because I just thought of something and it's gone. And it'll come back to me. So let's talk about, oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say, actually, when you just said, that's the other thing, that when you talk about pivoting and changing, I actually remember saying this to my nephew, who's now 16, but I said it to him a few years ago. It's like, you know, when you're at school, it's like these certain categories of job you go into, and it's like you're working towards becoming the accountant, the lawyer, the doctor, like whatever it is. And I remember like my dad saying to him, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, honestly, don't get attached to it, because jobs that exist these days didn't exist when I was at school. So, and the world's rapidly changing so quickly that so many different things are going to happen in the future. It's like, just follow what you love, study what you love to study, and then just go and play and do different things at different times, which is like...
That's exactly where my tagline came from. So the tagline was I started saying it before I had this business, because I asked my son, who was about 5 or 6 at the time, my eldest, and says, then what do you want to do when you're older? And he was like, I don't know. And just this feeling. And when he left the room, I said to my husband, I never want to ask our children again what they want to do when they grow up. Like, what pressure to put on a child of his age. And I was like, why do we even have that anyway? Like, what are you going to do to work for a living? I was like, I want them to live for a living. I want to encourage my children to go and live their life and then think that they can get paid for it. Like, I'm like, who invented a job anyway? Like, you look at the animal kingdom, right? There's animals that fetch food and build the home and do these things, but they don't clock in and out at 9 to 5. Like, we've put this title, like, you have to think about what you want to do for a job. What do you want to do for your life? And then, can you get paid for that? Like, how can you live and get paid for living your passions? And that's something that I love to encourage my children, but my clients as well. Like, when they come and work with me, I'm like, right, you've got this business, but what do you love about life? What do you love about life? What are your passions? And how can we integrate this into your business to really build that personal brand even more, make you different, but also have you living and enjoying every part of it? It's like, no, I always say, like, work-life balance is a load of rubbish. Is work-life integration. That's the only time you really get flow, when you've got work and life integrated in a way that doesn't feel separate.
Yeah, I love that so much. Yeah, and also when you were talking, the other thing I wanted to say was people can't get their head around the coaching industry if they're not in it. Like, they don't understand it. Like, every time, like, I'll mention somebody to my husband who's making X amount, he'll always go, do you believe them? And I'll be like, yeah, I believe them. But I was talking to my client on the weekend about this. I was talking about, like, do you know what? No one else needs to understand the coaching industry other than coaches inside it, and just all the coaches within it. Because in my opinion, there's no hierarchy in the coaching industry, because we're all going to different people for different things. So like, I've worked with my coaches, like, so my last coach was an astrologer. And I worked with her because I wanted to understand myself better, or I wanted to understand divine timing for my business. And I've worked with another coach on, like, human design. And I've, like, worked with my coach on that. And then they'll come to me for some nutrition advice before I pivoted out. And do you know what I mean? It's like, there's no hierarchy. And there's one of my clients now, I was like saying, she's like a feminine embodiment coach. And it's like, she talks about her course and her program. I'm like, I want to do this course and program. And it's like, actually just circulating this crazy money that we're all investing in each other keeps the whole, like, industry alive and growing, because we start making all this mad money and then we invest it in all the other things that we love and want to learn more about. Do you know what I mean?
100%. And it's an industry that it's funny, because I didn't know. I knew about life coaching. I didn't know about business coaching. I didn't know this sort of industry was a thing. Like, this was whole new to me when I got into it. I came into it through the health aspect. So I've got a health condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So it affects, like, all my joints, my muscles and things. I'm in pain with it daily. And long story short, I was on like 40 meds a day. I got told I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I was 50. The meds burnt holes in my stomach, couldn't take any oral pain meds. So I had to deal with being in this pain some other way. And that's when I really overhauled my whole health, my whole mindset. That's what really got me into this world and into personal development. So I really got into it that way, and that's how I found out about coaching. And then I came into this world and I was just like, whoa, this is like a whole new world, and what an amazing thing to be part of. And as you say, you can see how everybody can support each other within here. But it's so funny as well, you saying about like your husband, about do you believe it? Because I remember one of my sort of peers, we were in a life coaching group program together before I started my business, and we really connected. And she was my friend at the beginning when I was like, I can't charge £60 per session. Like, that's so much money. And like, people are paying me for this. This is bizarre. To like, very quickly, I went up. So like my first month in business was 5K, the next was 13K. And then by like month 5, I was making like 84K months, and done that really quickly. And she's like, Hayley, I never used to believe these people online until I saw you do it. Like to see you going from, it was so new and I can't possibly charge it, to then just owning what you bring to the table, getting those results, and then where you are now, to witness it is something magical. And I think that when you get in amongst people that are in this world, you see it, and it's like this whole new, like, you get to be away from all society's expectations of how you work, how you live, how you earn money. And there's so many doors that get opened. Like, I know for me, I've said to my husband, I'll have a coach, at least one for the rest of my life. I've got multiple coaches. I'll have at least one for the rest of my life, because there's always a new perspective or a deeper thing to go and learn. And I think that's so exciting.
Yeah. And so much, I know that you agree with this, so much of running a business is personal development stuff, rather than the strategies and the processes and all those different things. It's kind of like, you know, that saying, like, your net worth is aligned to your self-worth. Like that. I remember when I first started seeing clients, and I'd launched my Instagram, and I was seeing clients for free to kind of build like my not unique method, because I actually don't do that, because when everyone has such different things, but kind of like look at what sort of packages I wanted to do. And then when I moved to the first paid offering, I remember like being scared because someone was paying me money for it. It's like, despite like doing these transformations, these people for free, it's like, oh my God, like I actually feel really scared. And then you can start to self-sabotage. And as you grow, like the stories come up at whatever level you come at. So much of like working alongside, so it's not about like the strategies and like, oh, what are the words on the sales page? Like, what should this be? It's like, I need holding through this thing, which is why I agree with you. I think we should be with people for life.
And it never changes. It never changes. Yeah. I say to my clients, because sometimes it can be easier to think that people that are higher up don't have these things. I'm like, I am a part of a couple of high level masterminds, and some of these women are making like 7 figures a month. The conversation doesn't change. It's imposter syndrome. It's making less money this month than they made last month, even though that's more money than anybody else would think about making in a year. It's still like, oh, my sales are dipping. What if this is like going down? What if I can't do this again? Or you hit your highest month and it's like, what if that was a fluke? And then it's like, oh, but I'm charged at like the confidence, they dealing with clients that are like with their new issues coming up, like everything that comes up mindset wise at a lower, if you want to call it a lower level, comes up at the higher level as well. It's the same, it's just heightened. It's just a different level of sort of conversation of the same topic. And it's all the mindset, right? Strategy is important. I love strategy and it is an important part of it, but if it was strategy alone, you could go and find that out anywhere on the internet. Like it is the same thing
on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. You can YouTube it. And I think it's bringing everything together. Like I love that you mentioned astrology and human design, and like something in my mastermind that we talk about is like the moon cycles. Like, where are we on the moons just now? How is that affecting you? Like we talk about human, like I do human design with all of my clients. I won't work with a client until we've done our human design together. So I'm like, I need to know how best I can support you as a coach that's going to be in alignment with how you're energetically meant to work. But yeah, I'm one of the most strategy focused coaches around. I'm so strategy and here's how to do it. And I think as a projector, I love that. I love seeing the strategy that they might be missing, but you can't do it without the mindset, without the energetics, without all the little bits. Like I love talking about setting intentions into bottles of water and leaving it out for them to like fuse. Like I am still here for all of that conversation as well.
I was did a training the other week, and I was like talking about calling in your soul aligned clients, and I was like, this sounds really creepy, but I literally will have like a board of people I've been speaking to, people I really resonate with, and I'll like grab their photo off their Instagram and I'll put them on my vision board. I'll like literally be calling them in, because it's like, it's the strategy stuff aligned with all like the woo woo, I think. Yeah.
I do that with my clients as well. I'll get them to write like a list of like their clients, but it's not, some coaches I'll say to do this, but tell you to go and act on it. I don't. I'm like, write a list of like the 10 clients that you know would be perfect for this and you could serve really powerfully. Just write them on a bit of paper and then that's it. Just leave it. You've set the intention. You've energetically formed an intention with this person coming into your world, and it works every single time. People are like, this is like magic. I'm like, but you have to play in that realm. When we're in this world of unrealistic goals happening and unrealistic results, you have to play in the realm of unrealistic. Otherwise it doesn't work.
Yeah, amazing. Talking about unrealistic, let's talk about, I've heard you say before, was it a £3.50 meditation was the first thing that you sold? Yeah. And then it was like going from that to, like you say, like six figures within 6 months, within 6 months, something like that.
Not set, we got up to within 6 months, it was 84. K was my month 5 was it shot up to 84k. But yeah, first £3.50, and I still remember I don't think I've ever signed any client that's made me more excited than that. Like that was, and I remember I literally ran down the stairs to tell my husband. I was up the stairs and I ran down and he was in the kitchen and I told him, and I was just blown away because I'd obviously made money in my business before, but it was very much going out and laboring. It was going in and work, like you were trading your time for money. And yeah, there's still an element of that. But I was like, I'm sitting in my living room on a computer and talking to someone, and someone wants to pay me for that. Like that blew me away. The fact that someone would give me their money to listen to what I had to say, it was in a meditation, but that absolutely blew me away. And it gave me that confidence that people value this stuff and people do want to pay for it. And then there it just scaled so quickly. And I didn't shoot up to high numbers right away, because I am someone that I believe that you have to charge what you can get behind. Yes. So people always say like, charge your worth. I'm like, well, that's a load of bullshit, because your worth can't be defined by a number. You could never charge your worth ever. Like you just couldn't. If you believe that you can charge your worth, then you believe that your worth is worth a monetary value, and it's not. So for me, I'm like, don't charge your worth, and don't charge what, even like, I'd have to say a lot of people are like, charge what you want to charge. Yes, to a point, if you can get behind that number, but if you can't get behind it, you will self-sabotage. If you don't believe that the results that you help create is worth that amount, the results, not you, but those results, you won't sell it. So in the beginning, I started at £3.50 to be part of a meditation class. Then when I qualified as a coach, I got told to not go below £100 an hour, because otherwise you can start to bring down the coaching, sort of the integrity of the coaching space. So I wanted to stay in alignment with that, but I couldn't charge £100 per session. Not that it even was an hour, it was like 2 hour sessions I was given, and I was doing prep before it and afterwards. Yeah. I was like, I'll give people a discount, so I'll charge £60 per session. It's £100 with 40% off. My first group program was 8 weeks to learn how to run a business on Instagram. And I gave everybody like weekly calls, and they got one-to-one with me, and it was £250. It cost like pennies to get in. But what I started doing was building up the confidence that people are getting results. These people are going out and smashing it. Like they were working with me, and one client started to work with me, and within 3 sessions, she'd signed a 3K client. So I was like, this is starting to work. This is starting to come. So I started pricing, changing my containers and my pricing in alignment with the results I was getting people, and in alignment with my confidence in helping them get those results. Yeah. And the more I done that, I quickly scaled. Now that was better for me than I've seen some other peers join coaching programs where they were told you should only sell high ticket, and they had created this package that was like 5K for 3 months, and they'd never had a paid client before. I was like, well, how are you don't believe that your coaching service is worth £5,000, so you'll never sell it. Whereas I went from where I was to now it's like 50K to work with me one-to-one, right? So like, and that's within 2 years, it's went from that price to that. You can scale really quickly, but it has to be in alignment. So for me, it was, what can I get behind, as well as I want the social proof Not that you have to prove yourself, but I wanted it. I wanted the social proof that when people come and work with me, so now my clients get like 6-figure months. So obviously investing in my price is no brainer to them. It's worth it. Now, I 100% believe it's on you as a client to get the results. It's not on the coach. But as a coach, I also want to know that there's a very high chance that you're going to absolutely smash your results if you come and work with me.
Yeah. And you know what, when you're talking, it's like so much of success. This is why, again, I believe that you should have somebody by your side in whatever format, because again, people don't understand the coaching industry, particularly if you're walking away from like a corporate job where you've got, you know, this regular income and like you've got family and friends that like, it doesn't make any sense. When I walked away, because I had a 6-figure marketing job, really senior role, doing very well for myself, good reputation in the industry. And like my parents thought I was absolutely crazy to walk away from it. And it's like, that's going to happen to everyone. No more words on that. But what I would say is, you know, when things, because things aren't always going to go amazing. Like, yeah, similar to you, my very first month, I had a 5K month. Amazing, celebrating it. But then what I actually did is I completely burnt myself out in 4 months because I went too hard, too fast, like trying to manage it all. And then I had to take some time off. So then in those time off, obviously I couldn't make money. And then it's like, oh my God, this is why I should be in a regular job. Do you know what I mean? And it's times like this that like, when you need somebody by, don't need, but it's great to have somebody by your side who's going to keep you going when you're like ready to quit. And in fact, somebody said, I heard someone say this morning that don't quit, slow down, or don't quit, rest, or they had something like that. But aside from that bit, it's just like having somebody who's done it. So like you, like being in your space where you're really going to activate somebody and expand someone and go, actually, I don't want to settle for the 10K months. Now I want the 40K months, the 50K months, things like that. I want to hit the 7 figures. It's like, it's being around examples, because when you've got just this noise in your ears of like, that can't be possible. And it can derail people. And then
100%. And then as you say as well, like burn people out as well. Yeah. You have to, I'm someone that I actually promote hustling at points in your business. I think it's actually really healthy. I think we've come into a new culture where everybody is so only wants to promote the feminine, that they're starting to get out of integrity with masculine. And there's a lot of people spending a lot of money to work with people and getting no results. And it's because so many people are often coming from corporate burnt out, so scared of getting burnt out again, that they do the opposite and they're procrastinating on a lot of the things. I'm a big believer in it's both. And I do believe sometimes there is times to hustle, but then also you have to know when, or have support from someone to know when to pivot that and to change things up. Like, I'm working with a client just now and she's smashing 6-figure months, but she was burning herself out. So we had to stop and be like, okay, let's look at where like that to her suited her. Now it doesn't, because now she's got a lot more clients. So it's like, right, let's look at how we can pivot this going forward. She's a projector in human design as well. So it's like, right, you don't have to start at 9 o'clock in the morning if you don't want to. What time do you want to start? Right, let's start you later. Okay, you're obviously booked out with one-to-ones. Let's scale your one-to-manys. What are you doing with your passive income? Let's scale that all up. So now she's working half the amount of time, but still sustaining those 6 figures. And that's what I always like teach in business is, let's get you to the next thing. And then when we get you to that goal, we're going to pause and we're going to clean everything up. So we're going to maintain for a month or two, then we're going to scale again. Because if you don't pause at each level to clean everything up, you take all your what I'm going to say is bad habits and negative energy into this next level. And that is just on the route to burnout, to giving up. And that's what happens is so many people then reach it, they burn out and they crash, and then they have to build from the beginning again. But as you say, you just pause. It's like, okay, amazing. We don't always have to, again, sometimes in the coaching space, it's like, what's the next highest figure? What's the next highest figure? What's the next highest figure? It's like, no, wait a minute, we can stop here. We can maintain here, right? So let's maintain this. And while you've got all this recurring revenue now coming in, let's clean this up, so that when you want to go to that next figure, you're coming from such a squeaky clean and you've actually got the time and energy to be able to scale it to that next level.
I'm so glad you said this, because it actually comes into something I wanted to speak to you about anyway, but just, yeah, because a lot of coaches are now starting to say, a lot of these like 6-7 figure coaches who are now at that level are now starting to say, start your business how you want to run your business. Because if you create it, so say, for example, you only want to take 2 client calls a day, launch your business with 2 client calls a day, because otherwise you're going to get yourself in this like hamster wheel of having your 8 calls a day and you won't be able to get out of it. But all of these people have built their business to this number, having these 8 calls a day. No, I'm exaggerating. Maybe it's 4 calls a day. But it's like, to your point on getting behind the numbers, when you first launch your business, you can't get behind the numbers that you would need to have your business running on the 2 calls a day. So it's like, it's easy for you to say no. It's like, yeah, now I've got to this level. Now I like only take 2 and I relax. I'm like, I don't believe anybody has scaled their business, particularly at that speed, without having the hustle phase first.
Nobody get any of the big names, right? Even some of the the really embodied feminine coaches out there, right? You've got like Melanie Ann Lear, she's incredible. She is openly said she used to go and sleep on clients' floors. She'd coach them in person and go and sleep on their floors for like $100 an hour when they were having a breakdown, like to coach them. Like Amanda Francis used to deliver leaflets in our local area. Like these women that are smashing it and getting like multi 7-figure years, they started hustling like everybody did. And I think that it's something that I quite openly speak about a lot online, because you get a lot of 7-figure coaches sell the dream of working 10 hours a week, having 100k weeks or months and sipping cocktails by the beach. They're not lying. They're just not being open with what got them to that point. Like you can get there, but it's like I've got a post on Instagram and it's, you'll be able to scroll it, it's quite far down, but essentially it's like in the beginning you'll invest a lot of time and money and energy and you'll get very little out of it, but you need to keep on going, and at one point it'll average out. So the amount you're getting in, you'll also get out. If you keep on going, then it'll get to very little input of time, energy, and money, and the rewards will be massive. But most people see the end result, they start it like that and get nothing. They give up because they're not seeing it as a long-term thing. Or what they do is they stay in the hustle and they don't pause to clean it up and they burn out. And then they preach that burnout is what got them to there. No, what got them to there was staying in burnout. So it's okay to hustle as long as at every opportunity you're cleaning things up, improving things. Like in the beginning, I done everything myself. And I was working ridiculous amount of hours. I hardly had a day off. I'd done that to get to where I was. Then I outsourced a team. Then I hired coaches. Then I brought in systems. But if I'd started that at the beginning, I would have spent all my time and energy on outsourcing, training team, doing all the back end stuff. And I wouldn't have anybody to sell to because I wouldn't have any time to actually build an audience.
Yeah, no, I love this. This is what we're to talk about. I love how honest you are about this. And you said recently that when you launched, you said to your husband and your kids, guys, you're not going to see mummy very much for the next year. There won't be holidays. There won't be, I've got full body goosebumps. There won't be presents, but give me a year and I'll make it worth your while. And then you worked from 7 a.m. till 2 a.m. for like a year. Yeah. And when I heard you say that, I was like, I mean, it just made me fall in love with you even more, because I was like, that honesty, so many people will hide. And it's like, I made this incredible success in this really quick time. And guys, I was working all of these hours, creating all of this content, seeing all of these clients for next to nothing to start with. So I could like build my confidence and get the reviews and all the different things. And that is what's made me quantum leap, not be like, oh, I just like showed up here and like danced a bit on my stories or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That a lot of people say.
Right, I've got like sitting here, like I've got multiple, right? I've got multiple crystals, they're all around me. Yeah. And I'm always like that. I'm like that. I believe in that. I believe in the crystals and manifest and law of attraction, but I also believe in the science behind it. And I also believe in the doing behind it. And it's something that it's so, and I had to make it work. There was no way it wasn't going to work. It was going to work because I had to. And luckily I managed to cut back a lot quicker than, it didn't quite take me the year. I could start cutting back a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in those beginnings, like even my birthday, I worked my birthday. And I always say to people, when people say, what did you do in the beginning? I'm like, well, I don't advise you do what I done in the beginning, because most people wouldn't do it. What I done was crazy, but I was committed to knowing I wasn't going to stay like that. And I think that's the important thing, is that either people avoid doing the work, or they tie their worthiness to how much they work, and they won't let go of it. So they won't ever scale back, or they won't ask for help. They won't invest in help. They won't invest in team, that then they burn out. And then everybody else uses them as like poster child for like, see, they done it. They burnt out and they gave up. Like, but that's because they weren't being smart about it. And I think it's the same with like everything, business, life. I think there's times where you have to hustle. There's times that, like we spoke about health, there was times that health had to become a priority and everything else had to get put on a back burner. And it was like, actually, like I call it doing like an audit, like a life audit, a business audit. Sometimes you just got to audit and what needs my attention most right now. And that's why as well, I always come back to, there's no work-life balance. Something will always be out of balance. Sometimes life takes more priority and that's okay. Sometimes it's work and that's okay as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's always my relationship with my husband that's always like, and it's really bad, but it's like, it's like work is always seems like a priority for me because I like I say, workaholic. Not that I'm working really long hours now because I've got a young baby and so I'm very limited on hours, but I definitely love to work. And then it's like, then it's the kids. Yeah. That sounded bad. It's the kids first, then work, should I say. My poor husband always gets like the raw deal, but you're right, it's like you
get to prioritize and stuff though as well. And I think that's good, like for me. And I remember having this conversation with my client once, and she was trying to make everything good that she was making nothing good. And I was like, but what happens, like, see, so for me it was like, right, my kids are good, I've got that solid foundation, my children's good, the way I bring up my kids, I feel solid in that, got really, really close emotional connections with children, that's good. Now let me give everything to my work, right? My work is good and that's solid. Next, it was my health, right? Let me go. And I could give 100% to what is now like my relationship. We've got a babysitter now. We go on date nights once a week. It's something we never have had because we don't live near family. And I'm really giving a lot more to my relationship just now. The reason I can give it so much guilt-free is because everything else is solid. When you try and dilute yourself, you can't do everything, right? So everything gets done at a mediocre level. Whereas if you scale apart, whether it's your life, your business, your health, your relationship, your parenting, if you get that solid, you can take the foot off the gas and it's going to run well in the background. Yes, it still needs your time and effort, but not as much. Then you can put your whole time and effort into something else. It's like compartmentalizing it so that it all runs. And then once you've got it all solid, that's where you get that balance. That's where everything but you'll also still within that get times and opportunities where this needs more attention, that needs more attention, someone's ill or someone's going through something, or your business is having a breakdown, like, and then you get to use your energy like that. But I do think so many people try and keep it really like, I've heard, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? There's nothing wrong with it at all. And I don't ever want to come across as one of these people that just pushes more, but I've heard people say, I'm all in, Hayley, I'm willing to do what it takes. And I'm like, amazing. So we'll get this, like, here's a strategy, we can get you doing it this weekend. Well, not the weekend, because I'd rather not work the weekend. And I've got one day off next week, but actually I was going to go out for lunch with my friend that day. So maybe like in 3 weeks time. And I'm like, okay, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I always say your actions have to match your ambitions, right? If you want 100K months within a year, then working 5 hours a week's not going to match that. You can have that ambition, but then what actions are you going to do to align with that? If you want 100K years or months or whatever in 10 years time, and you only want to work 5 hours a day throughout those whole 10 years, amazing, you could do that. It's going to take you that longer, right? But your actions are fine. If you want to work more or less, that's fine. Your ambitions are fine, no matter how big or small they are, but they have to be in alignment. And that's what everybody gets wrong. Their actions don't match their ambitions.
Yeah, do you know what? And this is in every category. So if you're listening, you're not a business coach, you're something else coach, like this is in every category. Like, it used to drive me mad when I worked in fertility because some of my clients were amazing, did everything perfect. But I remember having one client once, she'd been trying for 5 years, like nothing was working. It was so clear to me what was wrong. I was trying to help her. And then I was like, wanted to do a Dutch hormone test with her so I could see what was going on with her different hormones and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, there was an excuse 1 month why she didn't do it. Then it was like, oh, it's my birthday and I want to drink that weekend, don't want to do it. And it was like, it went on and on and on. And I was just like, how much do you want this? Like, how much do you really want a kid? And it's the same. It's like, how much do you really want your business? How much do you want that body? Like, whatever industry you're in, it's like, I think don't want to say it, but we've got a lot of soft people in the world that sometimes don't just want to suck it up and get on with it, I think.
Yep. And I think it all comes from, I remember speaking to someone about money mindset, and they said, do you think it's harder for people who grew up like in poverty to have a good money mindset? And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I grew up with nothing. I grew up with what I didn't feel poor because everybody around me it was the same, but it would be classed as poverty or like very low working class. Now I think I've got great money mindset now, and you look at anybody in the world that's massively successful, most of them came from nothing. Most of them came from nothing, right? The people that struggle the most with any kind of mindset, money mindset, working mindset, anything, is the middle class. Like and not even middle class, I'd say like higher working class to middle class. That family that has got a block house and they've got their 2 cars in the drive and they go on their 2 holidays like per year, and they're fine. They don't struggle for money. Like mum and dad probably works. They're not struggling for money, but they're not rich either. What it means is because they're not born into wealth, they don't have that abundant mindset, but because they're not born into struggle, they're so scared of struggle. The fear of getting less than they've been accustomed to will keep them stuck there. They get stuck in this life. And what happens is that we're conditioned by society to want that life even more, because that's the hallmark family life, right? Any kind of movies, that's the life that you want, that you should strive for. I've lived that life and I wasn't happy living that life. Like I got there and I struggled to get there. And it wasn't great. It wasn't built on my happiness. But that's where I find so many people struggle, is because they're not born into abundance, but they're also they don't know what it's like to struggle. So to them, having nothing is still them being very, very comfortable. Whereas I think those that have had nothing, they're not scared to go back there. Like I am not scared to lose everything because I've built it up from nothing multiple times. I know I can go there. And I think that's why mindset work always has to come into everything we do, because it's not that clients that have had a nice enough life can't do really well. They can, but often they need to work on their mindset more. They have to work on the fears that's coming up. And essentially all our limiting beliefs always come back to whether we're enough or not. Every single limiting belief, every single block comes back to feeling like you weren't enough at some point. And it makes sense because it goes back. We've got 2 million-year-old brains, and our brains want to keep us alive. And back thousands upon thousands of years ago, when humans first came into existence, if you weren't enough for your parents, you'd be left to die or you'd be eaten. So if you weren't enough, you'd literally die. And our brains still have that. Our brains still have, if we're not enough, if we don't fit in, if we're not enough for other people, we will die. That's not going to happen, but our brains still take that on. So it's why mindset comes into everything. And even as you say, like even coming into that work ethic as well. And then I think it's a tricky line, because then I think you get some people that just lack the work ethic, but then blame it on their mindset as well. Personal development is like the biggest form of procrastination I've ever came across. Like my clients, I'm like, if we're working through a block, I'm like, we're going to work through this block, but you still have to do the work in the meantime. Like healing and growing has to be done together. So many people are like, I've uncovered this block that comes back from this stage of my life, so I'm just going to do nothing for 3 months while I work on this. And I'm like, you're literally using this to procrastinate on doing the thing that's going to move you forward. And again, it's when it comes back to masculine and feminine, like a lot of my clients, they'll be like, how do you get the confidence to do that? I'm like, well, one, you work on your mindset, right? Affirmations, like working through old limiting beliefs, blocks, things like that. And then 2, you go do the thing. Because once you do it, you feel more confident that you've done it. So let's work on getting your belief up, but also sometimes you just have to feel the fear and do it afraid.
Yeah. Do you know what? The very first coach I hired was actually a confidence coach. Like that's how she positioned herself. It was a confidence coach. And it's because I knew I wanted to launch a business, but I didn't dare have an Instagram account. I was like, I daren't have anyone that I know find me. So it's like changing the name so no one found me, and like literally in advance, like trying to block people. Like it was this bad. And it was like, I remember it took me 6 weeks to show my face on stories. And like within about 6 months, I had my own podcast. And it was like crazy, but it was like, yeah, once you do it, you realize it's not scary. And then the other thing is like, you know, you have these stories about yourself. I remember like, I never used to like my voice, but everyone will message me going, oh, I love your voice. Like I love it. Like, everybody from all over the world would be like, oh, you've got a really nice voice for a podcast. You've got really nice. And I'm like, oh, really? Because I've never liked my voice. And yeah, all these different things, like we see these like faults in inverted commas in ourselves. And they're the things that people love in us.
Yeah.
So it's like, the other thing is, you know, when I was in corporate, the fact I was really fast and really high energy was seen as a bad thing. Because it was like, Lynda, you need to take people on the journey. Like they don't know why. Like, you know why you're doing this. You know why you want to run this campaign. You know why you want that celebrity partnership, whatever it is. They don't get it. Take them on the journey. I used to get really infuriated because I was like, why do I have to slow down? Why can't they speed up? Do you know what I mean? But now the people that invest in me because they like my pace. They like my enthusiasm. They like the speech. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that's the other thing about like corporate versus doing your own thing. It's like, so much that we're told is like wrong about us to fit in with society and capitalism and all different things is like what other people love about us.
Yep, I think that's definitely a projector thing in human design as well, right? Because we can see the gaps. We see the gaps. So we're just like, just come in. Like I remember one thing I used to always have, and I don't know if you're into like Akashic records and stuff. Like I've had my Akashic records done, and the person that done it, like I got into an argument a day with the gatekeeper of the Akashic records, and she's like, I have literally never had that happen before ever in the whole time I've done this, Hayley. So basically, I have got a lesson to learn in this lifetime, and I've been put on this, like put here again and again and again, and I've still not learned the lesson. And this is the last time, unless I learn it this time. And I was like, nah, I'll maybe do it. And it basically is because what I've got is I'm meant to lead from being up here. And really, like, as you say, like follow your passion, follow your energy, and other people that are drawn to that will go there. However, I get so caught up wanting to help everybody. So like, I'm like, and the way that I have it in like my mind is like, I imagine like a big tunnel and it's really dark and I've got like a light and everybody's lying sleeping. And rather than just walking through the tunnel and showing everybody the way out, I'm literally going each person one by one, like, wake up, you have to come with us. Wake up, you have to come with us. And like trying to convince people this is the best way. And actually, I'm never getting out, and neither is anybody else. I'm taking all my time trying to wake up people that don't want to be woken up yet. They're like, Hayley, bugger off, like go away, I'm trying to sleep. Whereas when I just lead, the right people will follow. And I know that in my business, this was a couple of years ago, and it's something I had to work on a lot, was that sort of being the projector and seeing these ways and wanting everybody else to see it as well. Because just like, I think you can't be a coach and not care about people, right? You want other people to see this way as well. And I really had to work on, actually, I can see the way and I can lead the way, and I can trust those that are meant to will come along and they'll be part of my tribe as well. And I don't have to try and be the person that like solves the world's problems all on my own. And it's really a belief I've taken on that each person can change the world, but we do it by impacting one person at a time. And everybody's got their people that they get to impact. And then those people go out and impact people, and those people impact, and it's this ripple effect that we get to create.
Yeah, it's so powerful when you're working with a coach that like we learn, because I think of things that I've learned off coaches I've worked with, and then I then pass that on to my own clients, and then they pass it on to their clients, and it's incredible. I really want to make sure we have time to talk about, because time is flying away. I knew that we talked for ages. Like branding, creating the brand, and creating a personal brand. Just before we started, I was like, I really want to talk about the pink hair, because I know when you started, like, and I'm sure I've seen you talk about this somewhere, so apologies if I haven't, but about like really like launching as one person, then really owning who you are and all that kind of thing. So yeah, like talk to us about this.
Yeah, so when I think I've always known how to build a brand, right? As I say, from working in social media and marketing myself and things, but still when you come into a new industry, it can be overwhelming, and it can be like, how do I have to show up? And I really felt like I had to show up a certain way. And when I first started this business, definitely I always say I'm a recovering people pleaser, because I don't think it's something that I'll ever fully not be. It's something that has served me a lot in my life as well. And I think sometimes the things that have served us are the hardest to drop, hardest to get rid of. Like being a people pleaser, giving so much to other people has really benefited me as well. But there was definitely that came out when I started a new business. It was just like wanting to please everybody, and how do I need to show up? And I really started showing up in the way that I thought I had to, this professional version. And even when like I got my first brand photo shoot, the photos were nice, but they weren't me. And I remember like my mum being like, they're nice, but they look a bit like Mary Poppins. They're like this like nice kind of vibe. And I am someone who's a nice person, right? That is me. It's not that it wasn't me. It just wasn't all of me. And even like, I think not just in business, but becoming a mum, when I became a mum, I was quite a young mum. So we were actively trying for my son. My husband's older than me, but I was 22 when I had my first son. And I very quickly started dressing like a mum and wanting to show up a certain way. And I started to lose some of myself along the way. Like I love fashion, I love makeup, I love like I've got tattoos, I've got obviously pink hair and stuff now. And that is all of me, but I wasn't allowing myself to be all of me because I was filtering down. I didn't want to upset anybody. And it's literally the one thing I always teach my clients now, don't be vanilla. Because if everybody likes you, nobody's going to love you. If everybody likes you, it means not everybody should like you. If everybody likes you, it means that you're not speaking your truth, because when you speak your truth, you will piss some people off. So if everybody likes you, it means you're watering down your message. And if you water yourself down, the right people aren't going to see how amazing you are. They're not going to love you. You're just going to have lots of people that like you. And she's a nice girl. Like Hayley, she's nice. Like that's it. And that's not what you want people to say about you. And for me, it was really a process of realizing as well that some of the clients I was working with weren't aligned to my message. And I had to look back on me and be like, that's me that drew them in, right? Me overgiving of like, I always over deliver. That's something that I'm known for. People that come into my world know how much extra bonuses they get, how much like they get out of stuff. Like it's something that I am really stay in integrity with, that I over deliver always. I've always done that. The difference is I used to always overgive as well. I over deliver now. I don't overgive anymore. So I can over deliver in a way that's not overgiving of myself and breaking my boundaries. At the start I did. And I don't necessarily think it was wrong. I think I had to. And I think showing up, being professional allowed me, like every single client call I'd have full hair and makeup done for, and I'd wear like a professional looking outfit, like every single, like, whereas my clients, they see me online and they get me on a call and I'm like in my joggies and like my hair up, like that's me. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes I'm here and I'm full glam because that's part of me as well. And I think that you get to be either. You don't have to be a certain way. You don't have to show up a certain way. But that took a lot of me testing it, seeing the clients I was attracting in, and really seeing my message as well and testing some things. I'd put things out and I'd put them out when I was feeling a bit punchier, and I'd be like, send quickly, don't think about it. Then the next day I'd be like, I can't believe I just wrote that. But there'd be so much engagement on it. And I'm like, because I'm actually saying what I want to say. But it was definitely a process of finding myself in the background as well as finding myself on this business. But when I did, and when I started to show more of me, and probably it all kind of came around me sharing on a deeper level when we lost my brother. We lost my brother last year, and there's just a year between us. I'm the age now that he was when he died. And it came out of nowhere. And I was just like, absolutely the worst thing that's ever happened to us in our life. And I was devastated. And I was like, I can't show up on social media and be like, here's how to post on Instagram. I was like my whole life is like, my brother's dead. Like this, how do I do that? And I remember speaking to a coach at the time, and she was like, Hayley, you're normally at a 10, and right now you're at a 0. You can't post at a 10 just now, so don't try. So you've got an option just now, either take time for yourself, or you can go out and share where you are at just now. And that's what I decided to do, because social media was part of me. It wasn't like I'm hustling when I should be grieving. I allowed myself to grieve, but I also took those lessons online, and I was like, guys, I'm not okay just now, but here's what I'm going through, and here is the lessons. And I didn't try to be a 10. I was like, this is me raw, this is me honest, here is me at my 2. And right now that's okay to be. And the amount of people that was like, I needed to see that, because all you see is when things go wrong in personal life is either people ignore it and show up like nothing's happening, or they ghost. They take a month or 2 off and then show up like nothing's happening. And not that any of those are wrong, but they're like, you're a person beyond your business. and like it allowed people to see. And obviously I hope that nobody has to go through grief like that to learn that lesson, but I share that just in a way that your audience wants to see that you're human. Your audience wants to see that you're navigating things as well, and you can still show up as the authority while you navigate things. And it's about being that person. I think the more you can be you, the more your audience, like, I've got amazing results. I've got amazing client results, but every single one of my clients, when I've asked them, why have you signed up to work with me? They're like, because your energy, it just activates something in me. Yeah. And that is something that you can't put across in a social media post. You can, but only when it's unfiltered. Like nobody else could write that for you, right? It has to be you. And that's why people will come and work with you, because of the person that you are behind your business.
Yeah. Firstly, I just want to say I'm so sorry that happened to you, and just sending you so much love. That's absolutely horrific. But thank you so much for being so vulnerable with us and sharing it. And you're right. It's kind of like people buy from people. I say this all the time. It's like to get the strategy, to get the XYZ, you can just go on YouTube. I mean, a lot of people don't. They'll buy a program, and I think programs are incredible. And I've bought so many programs, despite 17 years background in marketing. Like I've buying programs, but ultimately, like when you're investing in somebody, it's because, like you say, you want to be in their energy. Yeah. You want to be activated by them, and talking about that, calling in aligned clients as well, because I think it's so true. It's like, I've got so clear that I only want to work with ambitious women. And that doesn't mean that it's like, I want a 7-figure business, or I want 6-figure months, or 10K months even. It's just that they want to put the effort in. They want more for themselves. I had a client who's just like, she hadn't worked for 8 years. She'd been a full-time mum. And she was like, Lynda, $2,000 months are insane for me. If I can make $2,000 a month, like completely changes my life, because that's $2,000 additional. Like she'd never, and that's all her ambition was sat with. It was like, but she was so ambitious and focused. She's a Manny Gen as well, so it's a bit hard to keep up with all the ideas. But do you know what I mean? It's like, and like people that come to me and they haven't got the ambition, the drive, and I want it more for them than they want it. That's so frustrating for me.
It's so frustrating. Yeah. Like, you want it more for your clients than they do. Oh my God, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. And the worst thing you can do is try and do it for them. I've been there before. But no, it has to be about, so I'm the same, I'm ambitious action takers. Like my mastermind, I always say it's for those that want to get to sort of multi-5 and 6-figure months. However, I've got some people in there that smashing 6-figure months. I've got some people in there that are smashing their first 4-figure months, because I say it's aimed at those that sort of want their multi-5 and 6-figure months. Or if you're a massive committed action taker, because I joined a high level mastermind in my 2nd month in business, I was only making 4-figure months, yet look how quickly I scaled, because I had, so for me, I would never not work with someone because of how much money they're making. It's sometimes a good marker to be like, this is the kind of level that we can get to in here. So either be at that point or be willing to take the action to help scale you and grow you, because you get some amazing people. I've seen people in the industry for 5 to 10 years not have the drive that someone has that's just coming out brand new. Yeah. And it's nothing to do with experience or time or money. It really is. It's that work ethic. And I think being open-minded to seeing possibilities. Like, that's the clients that I see really thrive are the ones that are open to, is there another way? Is there a better way? How can I bring this? Like, how can I do this but more fun? Like they want to see the different possibilities. And obviously as a projector, I love that, because I get to go in with, let's explore this other way and let's see what we could be missing. Like that's really where I get to go in and thrive as well with my clients.
Yeah. Do you know what? I could probably speak to you like 3 more hours, and I know that we need to wrap up soon. So, what do I want to ask you? Like, because I want to speak to you about so much. What would you like to speak to before we wrap up? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think, what do you think your audience would benefit from the most? So where I'd love to like leave this with like those like listening, really leaving with something that they're like, yeah, that's really helped me. So whether that's mindset or strategy or what, you'll know your audience better. Because
this is the thing. I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you about your coaching certification that you do, and I want to talk to you about this, but that's why I was like, I'll put it to you. But you know what I really want to ask, because this is all about, you know, people creating iconic standout brands that like are going to have people like, you know, desperate to go and work with. So yeah, let's talk about, for anyone out, any of the listeners who are like really struggling to get that cut through, they feel like it's not working, I'm showing up but it's not working, like where do you sit in terms of like owning one social media channel versus trying to be everywhere? Where do you sit in terms of like people finding their unique tone of voice? Anything like that I think would be really helpful for them.
Amazing. So social media has changed. So what I'll say now, you'll probably find the trend of me saying the opposite, but I'm really, one thing is, well, so I've got a lot of open centers in human design, so I will always change my mind. I'll go with, if I get new information, I'm like, amazing. So that's what used to work. This is what works now. And what I used to really preach before is have one social media channel and give that 100% attention. And although that I still agree with that, what we're seeing now in the market is omni-channel approach. Omni-channel approach is what's working, whereas Instagram still seems to be the highest converting social media channel for high ticket clients. It's not the best lead generation platform anymore. So you can use other platforms for lead generation and encourage them to come on to your Instagram and to your email list as well. And that's really where you can do the nurturing and the converting. So I'd still say to someone, really have one strong platform. So for me, that's Instagram. If I don't have time or energy to be present on any other platform, I'm still showing up on Instagram. It's my non-negotiable. However, I do also have like podcast, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, starting on YouTube. These all lead in as well. And we're seeing that really, really working in that space. So what I'd say is just now, and I'm also seeing there's changes happening in the industry because so many people are becoming coaches, and it's amazing, but it's starting to water down some of the messaging and some of the integrity of this space, because some people are getting into it for the wrong reasons, right? They're getting into it for just the money alone and not for their passion or their impact. And what I am seeing as we go forward is the coaches that are really going to be iconic and are really going to build a brand and a business that's going to stand the length of time is getting integrity with what you offer. So things like certifications are becoming more sought after. Certifications, deeper trainings, like committed to always learning, always evolving, but also visibility just now, like stages that you can be speaking on, writing books, having longer form content like podcasts, like YouTubes. I just yesterday alone, I got 2 messages from people that I have never spoken to before ever, inquiring to work with me one-to-one. And both of them were like, I need to talk to you because I have seen you everywhere. I've seen you everywhere and I've been looking for a coach and I've just got this feeling that we need to speak. Can you tell me about your offers? And that is because I am doing this for myself just now. So I'm committed to visibility. So I'm committed to, I think like in the beginning, it's really important that you go micro, you concentrate on the audience you've got right in front of you. I see new coaches and new business owners do this wrong all the time, as they shop online and are like, right, internet, whole world, where are you? Come and work with me. I didn't get strangers working with me for about 6 months. The first 6 months, people were converting online, but they were coming in through personal touch points, either people that I knew or people that I spoke to that knew people that might benefit from me, or different groups, peers, like just making connections. And then they were following me on social media, people I was friends with at school like 15 years ago, and they were converting. And then it was after that's when I started to scale. That's when I started to get known. So I'd say don't jump too much to trying to find strangers to work with you. Focus on building a strong community first. But then the way to get iconic and to build long-term brand like longevity is getting visible. So how can you be the go-to expert for what you do? And that is really nailing like even conversations like this, like where can you show up and give your point of view and your value? You want to start getting your name out there and start getting visible, but also being able to back it up with results, with things like certifications. There's a lot of debate in the online industry whether they're needed or not. And even though they're not needed, I find, especially in the coaching industry, people don't know how to coach. And coaching's losing that essence of actually, I'm a cross between both a coach and a mentor, but there's lots of mentors out there who, and people debate what that's as well. So just to clarify it, because some people say the opposite to me as a coach is the person that they're in the expert, and you use powerful questions to help them get their answers out in the most aligned way. A mentor is, here's the way I done it. Here's how I done it, and I'm going to teach you how I done it. In business coaching, I think both thrive. I think in most coaching, both thrive. But what I'm seeing is so many people teaching, this is how I done it, so this is how you should do it as well. And that doesn't work. It needs to be like, I always say to my clients, do you want mentored on this or do you want coached through this? And they'll know what's better for them. And often it is a mix of both. Well, here's how I done it, but also here's 10 other ways you could do it. What feels most aligned to you? What are your ideas? And I think that a lot of the coaching industry is starting to lose. I've got a client in my certification just now, and the message she left me today actually is insane. Her client results are booming because she's brought coaching back into her coaching. She's like, Hayley, I hadn't realized that I'd stopped being a coach. She's like she just wanted the certification to deepen her coaching skills a little bit. She's already smashing it in her space, but doing it brought her back into what a coach actually is, and really holding space for the clients and allowing them to bring their ideas to the table as well. Because often people just, coaches will pitch, this is what you should do. It's not in alignment with what the client actually wants. So they either get no results or they get temporary results until they realize, I hate this. They stop doing it, and the results, they go back to coasting again. So I think for building an iconic brand, I'd say get an integrity, never stop learning, never stop getting trained yourself, and get visible and go. I always talk about going broad just now. So in the beginning, I was going upwards. I was building. Let me get known in my little community and my industry. Let me get known. And now it's like, I'm no longer focused on going up. I'm focused on going wide now. So like, I've got like published in a magazine that's predominantly was in the US, because I was like, let me like try and dominate that space now. What other stages can I speak on? Where can I go wider now so that my name becomes a known name in this field?
Yeah, do you know, I'm the same as you. I just want to be on stages like everywhere. I'm a Leo North node in the 11th house, which is groups and community. And it's like my soul's purpose to be here on stages. And yeah, absolutely. And can I just thank you for using that definition of coaching versus mentoring, because it's actually one on my list to do a podcast about, because so many coaches, multi-million-dollar making coaches, don't know what a coach is. And they're actually
the opposite way. I'm like, that's the opposite definition.
No. And actually, coaching is one of the hardest skills to have. Like, you can teach. I think there's teaching, there's coaching, there's mentoring, in my opinion. And some people be amazing at all three. Some people be amazing mentors. Some people are amazing teachers. The hardest out of them all is to be a coach, because that's where you need to hold back, bite your tongue, ask the right questions, and help that client find the right solutions. And it's so easy to want to dive in and give solutions. And like you say, actually, like, we're all individual, like the right thing is going to be different for everybody. And yeah, it's so wrongly used in the industry, that term. So.
And it takes away from your client, because one is your client could come up with a better way for them, but two, even if they come up with the same way that you were going to say, which often happens, I often think this is what I tell them to do, but I use powerful questions to help them come to the realization themselves. So I teach about like neuroscience and stuff as well. But there's actually a chemical change happens in their brain. It's been studied, and it's that aha moment, a chemical reaction, and it releases like chemicals in your body, and it makes that moment stick with you. Rather, if you're told something, that's one form of doing it. When you actually come to that yourself, and it's like that light bulb moment of, oh my God, that's how I could do it. That integrates so much deeper. And again, it means that your client's more likely to actually get long lasting results because they've came to that aha moment themselves. And I agree. So I like see teaching is like, here's how to do it. Mentoring, here's like how I embodied it. Here's how I done it. Here's like, and then coaching is, and I see different levels of support for each. So like I teach in my group programs. a mentor and coach between my mastermind and my one-to-one clients. I'd say I'm more coach my one-to-one because you can go into it a lot deeper. But I think when you can bring in all of it, it's just something magical, because then you're allowing your clients to get those breakthroughs. You know how to guide a client through any situation. You don't have to know the information, but if you do, that's a bonus as well. And yeah, I think that the coaching world is amazing. There's so much opportunities in it, so much. You can build a thriving business while positively impacting the world. Like, how amazing is that? But also, I think it all starts with us. Like, if we want to build an iconic brand, we have to become iconic ourselves. And that really is unleashing who you are inside. And it's like that feminine, right? That feminine, let's unearth and unleash that intuitive soul that's within you. And then also the masculine, stay in integrity with what you teach, what you coach on, get certified, do the work, take the actions. Like, and when you bring those things together, that's really when you can grow and scale massively.
Hayley, I hang on every word you say. I'm so grateful that you joined us today and for being so generous with your time as well. Before we wrap up, tell everyone where they can find you. We'll put it in the show notes as well, but where they can find you, how they can work with you, all the different things.
Yeah. So the main way is always come and connect with me on Instagram. So Hayley Forbes Coaching. I'm always on there. I have got a Facebook community. I am on other platforms. I've got my website, but it's always the quickest and easiest way to send me a DM. I'm always in there. That's my little community. And yeah, there's different ways. So whether they've got a business, I've got low cost memberships all the way up to high level one-to-one coaching. So everything in between. So whether you're looking for, I've got like personal development events and experiences, or whether it's your business. If you're starting it, I've got memberships for starting and growing. If you're scaling your business, then I've got different places for that, depending on what people are looking for. Then obviously, if anybody is looking to either deepen their coaching skills or they're thinking about becoming a coach as a business, I've got my certification as well. So we're currently on the current round, and the next round is starting next year as well. And there's already a wait list for that. So if anybody's interested, then yeah, come and shoot me a DM.
Thank you so much. You're so amazing. Obsessed with you. Thanks again. And
thank you so much for having me on.
Guys, if you love this conversation, please share, give us a tag, tell us your greatest takeaway, because we want to know that we're helping you all. Podcasts can be a little bit lonely sometimes, as much as it's amazing while we're here. It's like, what's everyone think? So please tell us what you think, share, and we'll see you all soon.
Amazing.